proportional reasoning, and unit rates. Unit rates have a lot of different names that you've seen and heard already this semester. Unit cost, constant of proportionality, constant of variation, a conversion factor, the one that you've seen over and over and over again, oops, sorry about that, is rate of change, a dependent variable with respect to the independent variable, or slope, which is the dependent variable divided by the independent variable. That is not new this semester. The other words all mean the same thing, but they're all calculated in a similar manner. If we think of that 10-pound bag of flour that costs $7.99, we did that a few days ago in another example. It's 10 pounds, $7.99. The dependent variable here would be the cost, because of course the cost depends on the weight of the flour. So if I want the unit cost, that's really telling me I want the cost per, and what are the units here? The units are in pounds. So the cost per pound would be $7.99 divided by 10. And it's a unit rate, so it needs to have the units in it. Oops, and I ran out of room there, so we'll do a big exaggerated arrow. The cost is $0.799 per pound. And we can't round it. Okay, when you're calculating the cost of something, you have to keep the part cents. Now, how does the unit cost help us determine the cost of a different weight? Well, the unit cost can be used by saying the overall cost is equal to the unit cost times the independent variable, which is the weight of the flour. So we can say 0.799 times 2.5. And when we work through, you can see it's prettier here, guys. We work through, that means 1.998, same price as we had before when we used a proportion to solve it. And it costs $2. Next example. Dave invests $84 for 1 year and earns $1.26 in interest. So we have to remember, he invests $84, he earns $1.26 in interest. We want the dependent variable, the independent variable, the constant of variation, and we want to use the constant of variation to determine how much interest he earns if he invests $235. So what are we looking for? Oops, we're looking for a dependent variable, an independent variable, constant of variation. Oh, wait a minute, that just means rate of change, doesn't it? So we'll just write that there because that helps us to remember what to do and use the rate of change to determine how much interest he earns. We're looking for the interest. Oops, that should be underlined, but so the dependent variable, what are we calculating? We're trying to figure out interest, right? So the interest earned is a dependent variable. What would the independent variable be? The independent variable must be the money invested, because that's how we calculate our interest. We invest our money and then the interest is based on that. So the constant of variation, you can call it whatever letter we want. M is typical for slope. It's a rate of change, so it's the independent variable divided by, sorry, I said that the wrong way around. It's the dependent variable, so the interest, which is $1.26, divided by the independent variable, which is $84. And that gives us, I forget, we're going to scroll to the next slide because I don't have my handy dandy calculator. Gives us 0.15 cents for every, sorry, $0.015 for every dollar invested. How can I use that to determine how much money he earns if he invests $235? Well, remember, the interest is equal to the unit cost times the independent variable. So the unit cost is 0.015, And the independent variable is how much he invests, so that's $235. And we'll just flip a few screens forward. And that ends up being $3.53. And don't forget, these are word problems. They do require sentence answers. Homework. We're going to do page 6, unit rates, number 1 and 2. And then I would like you to answer the questions that are written below that. Determine the unit rate for each of the following scenarios and describe what it tells us. The cost of a taxi ride is represented using the equation C equals 1.5D, where C is the total cost of the ride and D is the total distance traveled in kilometers. And part B, the cost of driver's ed lessons are modeled by the equation C equals 19.5T, where C is the total cost of the lessons and T is the total number of hours spent in driving lessons.